Let's start there. This is a behind the scenes podcast, so get hot on that mic and we'll talk about hot comedy. So, does any part of you? It's 41 degrees. The room isn't going to be cool enough. Do you think? Is this going to be the right night? But you've booked it in. You're in town. You got the camera set up.
Yeah, there's no turning back. And I wanted to wear a nice shirt.
Yeah.
Shirt combo.
And not do the Robin Williams thing of just dripping with sweat the entire time.
It wasn't too bad. I bought two of the same shirt twice.
Smart. That's so smart.
And was able to freshen up.
Wait, hold on a minute. I'm good at maths. Two of the same shirt twice. That's 4 shirts.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
a t-shirt and a nice button.
I love that you had that attention to detail. So you were pausing. So in the edit, you've paused, wiped your sweat off,
yes,
come back
multiple times. And the crowd were really nice, thankfully. But they were cooking too. It was.
You want the audience to be as warm as you are, because I was saying just before we started recording is that feeling of sometimes if you look like you're sweating under the stage lights, but they're nice and fine in the coolness of the theater or the club, there is this discrepancy where they're going, oh, are you, what's wrong with you? You must be having a hard time up there. But if everyone's hot, it's like, hey, we're all in this together. Exactly. Maybe it's worth the next time I'm sweating on stage, I'd tell cut the aircon entirely so we can all be experiencing the same thing.
Comedy, yeah. I think as soon as you mention I'm hot, they then think about it.
Yeah.
If you're just wiping your brow, they're not really thinking about it as much. But as soon as you mention the word hot.
Yeah, I feel like there's the finest line of point, like it's the elephant in the room. Like if you got sweat patches coming in under your armpits or even worse, under your man breasts, I'm sure you don't have such a problem. But like the audience can see that.
Yes.
There's a temptation to before it emerges to say this might happen and I'm aware of it and I'm okay.
It's like a nice little surprise they get.
Right now in the studio for some reason because of the heat differences in this building, my glasses are fogging up like I'm a cartoon character who's got the hots for you and you're going, all right, myself, calm down with the glasses fogging up. I can't help it.
Good to see you all. Hope you had a nice Sunday. I had a nice day. Got up to Newcastle. I hit the bookstores today. Anybody else hit the bookshops today in Newcastle? No, all right, no worries. I went to about 4 or 5 bookstores today. I love the bookshops, walking around, find it very relaxing hitting the bookstores. I didn't buy any books. Never have. I don't read. Never have in Newcastle. What I like to do, and you should try this sometimes, I like to change the cover sleeves. On various novels and autobiographies. When I'm at the bookstore, I did about 100 today. I feel great. I feel fantastic. Feel great, Newcastle, because I know in a couple of months' time some dad's going to get his book, isn't he, for his birthday? His Michael Jordan autobiography. Yeah, he's been waiting for this. Half hour in, he's going to be like, fuck. And his wife's going to be like, Dad, what's going on? He's like, oh, Michael Jordan, I never knew. He was born in Germany in 1929.
So back-to-back recordings, what was the gap between the recordings?
Oh, it wasn't long, maybe an hour.
Just enough to hydrate and recover.
Yeah, maybe half an hour even, once they got out and the new crowd came in.
But no nervousness around, I'm going to faint up here or anything like that?
No, it was fine. I knew I could stop at any time, had water there, and the room did cool down considerably once the first crowd left, and we had half an hour just to open everything up. And
how did you go? Did you end up cutting between both filmings, or did you just choose one of the better ones?
It was funny in the end. I thought both of them were pretty solid, and then I watched both, and then we tried cutting pieces from different ones, but because it was only in a small venue, the Newcastle Comedy Club, it's only 90 seats, so the shot from the back of the room wide, the heads were quite noticeably different in the second one. So
it would become jarring.
The height of people was very noticeable, and I didn't think in my head, I didn't think it would be that. Yeah. And the guy who filmed it, Brady, he was like, "Oh,
I know Brady.
Brady, yeah. He's like, I don't think it'll be that bad, but it was really noticeable. And just even shirt colours, like people.
Unless you make that part of it, unless you make that part of the joke things are changing dramatically. You're wearing a hat and a cigar and another one.
Yeah. So it was. We ended up just keeping like 90% of.
Is there ever that temptation? Because Adam Sandler had that version where he was cutting between multiple performances, and that was part of the thing of let's have that show you this tour, but it's still going to feel like a show, which I think is really, really great. Have you ever thought about the temptation, or are you someone who, because I really like your specials are very straightforward in a very just, here it is, but it's not vanilla, it's not boring or bland, it's just, here it is, here's opening shot, establishing shot, entering the venue, here is the show. It's very much emulating going to a show.
Yes.
Which I think is excellent.
I even when I write a full show, I like simplicity. I like a stool, a glass of water, and me.
Yeah.
I like that no fireworks or bells and whistles. I just like that because I think then you've got the stand-up is the main focus.
Well,
and the jokes.
that impresses me because you've been doing it for 15 years, right? And I'm in the similar boat. But for me, my brain, and I think it's the nature of different brains, different approaches, and also different moments where someone goes, hey, this is really working, keep going. For me, I'm a back to the drawing board type person of like, oh, that show was all right, but how else can I approach the idea of a festival show in all sorts of different ways? You must have decided early on to go, this works for me, rather than what if I did a character, or what if I did some silent clown mime stuff in there? What if I go to Gaulier or whatever?
Yeah. I have tried in the solos. I did a show about a gambling problem I had, and it was a bit more, not as much laughs in there as a
bit more confessional.
Yes, than other shows I've done. I enjoyed that, but I didn't enjoy it as much. The next year I went straight back to just trying to get as many gags in as I could. I did a show also where I had a character pop up, Matt Burton, remember Matt from Tassie? He came out as a cop, recurring this character that would come out on stage.
Okay, so you've tried some moves out.
Yeah.
It hasn't, right.
Yeah, and that was really fun, but the cost of having someone else in your show and going to every fringe and it was, I was like, I'll just go back to a normal.
Sometimes just like the mental cost as well of the logistics I've got to find. Sometimes you see those messages pop up in group chats, and sometimes with the most awful amount of notice. Hey, tomorrow night I need someone to pop in my show and do some lines. Like, how long have you known about this? And now you've decided I might need to do this.
Yeah.
And but I do have so much respect for those shows that have something so stupid in their show and might be like, the great example is someone who just has a cameo. They come on for a minute or two and then they're gone. But in service of that joke, I got to applaud that person who has spent $100 per show, giving their mate this opportunity to appear. Emma Holland had it in her show this year. And it's just a nice...
It does. It's good because I think people, not only they appreciate the joke in the moment, I think you also are thinking about what it's taken for that to happen. You're kind of laughing at the absurdity of getting a person for a minute.
Let's talk about this bells and whistles thing. And did you then, have you now made a point, or is it not so much you've got a Dan Connell approach of this is the only way I'll ever do shows again, but have you, having dabbled in those other areas, started to go, you know what, I know what I like, I know what my audience likes, this is the show that I do?
I reckon the last, probably since COVID, I've just really enjoyed putting a show that's just me together and writing it from scratch, say around the start of June. I always try and start then and then get to 30 or 40 minutes by Christmas. And I've just had that same thing. And I haven't really thought about characters again. This year's show has tiny little bit of a screen. I've needed a screen everywhere.
Oh, a little bit of multimedia.
A little bit of multimedia. Teeny tiny bit, probably one bit in the middle of the show that lasts about 30 seconds and then a thing at the very end.
Well, you'll actually have to tell me about the one that was just recorded, because I watched the start of it and then I ended up listening to the rest of it in my car. I've got YouTube Premium, all right? Not to brag, everyone, but I got YouTube Premium. I can listen to stuff while driving. I wasn't watching it while driving, just any cops listening. So how did the multimedia feed it? And because of this idea of, well, I want to be, and I'll put words in your mouth, the purest approach to stand-up as possible of just person and microphone. The multimedia side is like, well, I need this for this joke to work. So why did you need it?
I have a new joke. This is the show you watch was last year's show, and then this year's show I'm still touring now.
Okay.
I had a gag in there about Shane Warne wanting my son to be as good a spin bowler as Shane Warne, but
Mhm.
my son's 4, and I found in my research that Warnie had his legs broken at kinder, which is a true story. When he was 4,
Yeah.
he broke both his legs at kinder. His dad made a trolley that he would slide around like a turtle and pull himself around. And I think the strength he got in his wrists and forearms is why his hands and everything was so strong. And he was able to bowl as good as he was.
Yeah.
And I say that in the show, and I noticed in like Perth and Adelaide when I was doing it in the fringes, people were like, "Come on, like, whatever," not believing me. So
Yeah.
I had to, I said, I need a screen so I can pull up the article. So
Right.
so that was just where that came from. So now I show the article about him talking about his his legs being broken at kinder to prove, because not one person in the crowd, the whole run, has believed me.
Yeah, right.
Maybe there's been 1 or 2 cricket nuffies in that have gone, yeah, I've heard that
Because
story.
you do have a style where you like to get whimsical. You'll start
Yeah,
quite
yeah.
grounded and it will get silly. And the more whimsy you have, the more the audience does start to go,
Yeah.
all right, well, why would I believe this
Exactly,
part? I'm
yeah.
not going to believe the other part.
Yeah.
Clearly that part didn't happen.
Yeah, and then it's a nice feeling when they see the article and people are like, oh. And then I've had times where I've said someone's looked it up on their phone live in the show, and then
Yeah.
I had to like talk into the mic to give the, and everybody go, oh, okay, and I always say apology accepted.
Yeah, well, I need to now have a screen in every venue.
Yeah.
That's just how
Yes, that's I was torn. Do I pay? It can be quite expensive to get a screen for anybody. That doesn't know. When you go into a venue that doesn't naturally have a screen, it is expensive to get one.
Yeah, this weird hire. I a lot of respect for Danielle Walker. She did my gig Best Mates Comedy in Sydney maybe more than a year ago now. And she said, is that okay if I bring a TV in? And I went, hey, if you want to be that person,
Right.
if you want to do all the work,
Yeah.
we can make space for it. And I love that too, because when I first moved to Sydney all those years ago, I wanted to have more bells and whistles.
Mhm.
I wanted to have music cues, because I liked a lot of those comedians that were doing silly things, and you can get huge results from those comedians that go, you know what, I'm going to bring in a thing. I'm going to bring
Yeah.
in a prop. I'm going to bring in a whatever it might be. But I noticed that a lot of venues weren't equipped
Mhm.
for that. So I just started going, I'm just going to do less. And that probably had pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
So when I see acts that go, no, the joke needs this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make it happen, rather than, don't worry, that's just half my act and it's gone now. And I want the listeners to hear that too and go, if the joke I want to do needs this weird thing that I have to bring in and the venue doesn't have it, do it. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. So then the rest of it, the ending of the show now has a montage that purely came because, I'm paying $400
I've got
for
the
the
screen,
screen.
yeah.
I should use it.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a Chekhov's gun thing of going, you're not just going to have the screen for just that one thing. Surely that's going to come back again.
Totally.
Another beautiful use of the screen, Beck Melrose in her show a couple of years ago, she used it mostly at the start, just like an opening before as the audience are taking their seats, and it was just a montage of clips that she likes from the internet, but it was beautifully done because it just gave us a sense of what her sense of humor was.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an opening act before your show. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. If you have a screen that you're only going to use twice, what can you be doing as the audience are taking their seats?
Yeah.
Can the screen be doing something for you as well?
Yeah.
There are a lot of creative ways. Let's talk about where it all began. So when's the first ever gig?
First ever gig, I did you might remember this, there was a competition in Canberra called Green Faces,
Yeah.
and I entered that 2009, it must have been. And
What was the venue for that?
it was the Irish Club
Right.
in Western
Mhm.
in Canberra. And that competition was Australia-wide, and they had heats for each specific state territory. And I did the Canberra heat.
Yeah, it's all coming back to me.
Yeah, but I didn't know. So I was working in public service, sort of told a couple of mates I worked with that I'd always wanted to try it. And I
Mhm.
knew there was a Canberra scene, and I'd been back in Canberra for maybe 12 months, 2 years. I'd been in Jindabyne in the Snowy Mountains before that.
Mhm.
And I always wrote gags down. When I was used to worked in a kitchen, I used to think, I want to do it one day, I'll write now. And
You're one of those people that actually then did do it, which is nice.
Yeah. And then entered in Green Faces, not knowing that it was I thought it was a first time a competition. So only people doing comedy for their first time did that.
Yeah, we had, because I started out in Adelaide around 2011, and I remember now people would travel over to do Green
Yes.
Faces.
Yeah, they would pay to, I think, take the 8 competitors to Canberra for the. Yeah, so I turned up on the night, and I was the only one who hadn't done a gig before. Everybody else had done 6 or 12 months, some 2
Right.
years. So now I was already scared. It's good. I was terrified.
You're looking around and going, "Are everyone else nervous?" Like, not as much as you. Why are you sweating so much?
And the guy running it put me last. I just thought,
Close the show. Why not?
Brutal.
Why not make you just fester the entire time?
Yeah.
So what are you thinking while watching? Are you watching the show? Are you backstage?
I was backstage just trying to remember everything. And when I went back to that book that I'd been working on for 4 or 5 years, nothing in there was remotely funny. Looking back at it, and so I had to kind of write. I think I did about
it's a
eight
confronting experience going back to the joke book of here's is what's going to make me.
Yeah. I just did I did about 8 minutes of what I thought was funny in the month leading up, and
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Yeah, it was about 8 of terrifying minutes, and there was 2 gags I got good laughs with, and that was enough to. I think the MC may have said I was it was my first ever time. So the crowd, you get that little bit of.
Yeah,
and I was
little
quite
boost.
drunk by then. It was the end of the night, so they did give me a bit of.
How old?
bit of a pass.
How old were you?
24.
Right.
Yeah. So it was enough to make me want to do it again.
And also, you had the fortune of meeting a bunch of interstate comedians at the same time, presumably as well.
Well, that was just the Canberra heats.
Oh,
It
that was just the
people.
Canberra heat,
It was all
right.
people, but it was people I had never met before. So I met 2 room runners on the night and other acts, and the scene was. It was such a good place to start comedy. There was probably 12 to 15 acts total in Canberra at the time. It was all very tight knit. Everybody knew each other. We'd do writing together, and there was probably 5 gigs that were monthly, and you could basically everybody could get up at every gig. So I was so lucky that first year.
Yeah, very similar to Adelaide. Although I will say, having just been in Canberra for gigs, really nice environment. I hosted a new material night, and everyone was getting up. And what was beautiful, because they have limited stage time, no one's taken the piss. They have to value that limited stage time they have and make the most of that stage time.
Yeah.
So you don't have that inner city attitude of someone who's just gets up and piss farts around and whatever, and often wrecks the open mic for a lot of the other comedians on, because I'm going to go to another show right after this and also piss fart around. It's like, no, you need to recognize this is valuable. And also this audience won't come back unless people are all delivering.
Yeah.
When does the move from Canberra happen?
2010. So I did a year in Canberra and then came down here in early 2010, it must have been.
And was that an easy decision? You were unattached at the time? There wasn't a huge amount, like there wasn't a partner to negotiate with or anything like that?
No partner. I was just living in a share house with a couple of mates, left my job, had sort of gotten over the gambling issues. So I had a little bit of money, had about $5,000 in the bank or something, and a car, and just put all my possessions in the car. And
this was the new gamble.
Yeah. Had one mate I knew in Melbourne, and it was either Melbourne or Sydney, and Sydney I had a lot more ties to because my hometown, Batemans Bay, is like 3 hours away. We had a lot of family there, but I'd been to Melbourne maybe twice, and I just loved it both times. And I knew it was a great scene.
And you went with the intention of, I want to get into comedy, not
Totally,
just like, I'm just going to...
Yeah.
Like, it was because so many Australians, we don't have that ability to back ourselves in that way. And how you would explain it to housemates, for example, I might just wander down there, check it out. Like, so are you someone that speaks with conviction? Were you someone that told people, this is my goal, this is my dream?
I think at the time it was a year. I was going to give it a year because the mate I was living with, he had a place in South Bank. He was in the army, so he was posted here for a year. And he said, I have a spare room, why don't you just come down and check it out? So I kind of had that in my head. I would fall back on Canberra and go back to that comfortable.
There'll always be Canberra.
Yeah, I'd always get a public service job there and friends and family there. So but I gave it, the first 6 months was tough. Like, it was obviously like starting all over again. That 5 to 10 minutes that I thought was great and was working well in Canberra was just not cutting it.
That's the confronting moment, isn't it? Moving from your small scene, and what happened to me as well was visiting these places was a delight. Visiting Melbourne, visiting Sydney from Adelaide, you'd be moved to the front of the line, even if it was just 5 minutes, but it would be at nice gigs, and you go, oh, I'm a special guest. Yeah. And then you move to these places and they go, well, welcome to the back of the line. You're one of us now. Oh, no, you don't remember me. I was special, remember?
And just the sheer amount of comics I couldn't get my head around. I would go out to Thornbury to meet a guy who I'd contacted online about a gig, and I'd get the train out there from South Bank, and there'd be 4 or 5 punters there, and I'd meet 5 or 6 comics. And then the next night I'd go to the city and I'd meet not one of the people I'd just never run into the same people. There were so many different pockets of people running gigs, and I was like,
and some people that just sort of stayed to their little corner as well. Sometimes, like, why don't I never see you away from this place? You can go elsewhere. No, that's fine.
I reckon I did in the year in Canberra. I probably did about 30 or 40 gigs. I think that was kind of the most you could do in a year there.
I'm dropping in to the middle of this episode because I want to tell you about the Patreon. I want you to sign up. $5 a month gives you access to all of this good stuff. 90 episodes behind the paywall, weekly bonus episodes. It also gives you access to our Discord group, a Discord that is full of comedians from around Australia and slowly the world, swapping material, offering advice, getting ideas, getting booked on gigs, expanding their networks. $10 a month gets you access to our weekly workshops where I invite comedians from around Australia, professional comedians, to help workshop your material. It's such a good deal. Check out the Comedy Writers Group on Patreon. Check out our podcast on all the good podcast platforms. Hey, thanks for watching this episode.
And in the first year here, I probably did maybe 50 to 100, which wasn't a crazy, but it was just trying to get my foot in the door, trying to meet people, and I was going out most nights of the week.
Where does that attitude come from? Because I'm even just reading your bio and knowing your career from social media and seeing you every now and then over the years is, Dan's always working really, really hard. And it sounds like you've had that from the start. Does that come from how you were raised, or does it come from had already had a quote unquote real job, so if I was going to enter into the arts, I better approach it with a level of seriousness? Where does it come to go? Where does that hustle come from?
Yeah, I think it's just family coming from, dad and mum always backed up. If I said I was moving to Melbourne to try comedy, they were like, well, okay, great. But just have something to fall back on was always their thing. But yeah, I just remember my dad growing up, he worked on the council, so he was either driving a slasher or trucks or rollers and, hauling dirt. And he just, I used to have jokes about it. He just never had a sick day. He just worked and worked and worked. And same with mum. They just both had careers where
were they happy?
Yeah, I feel like we had a really, it was very working class, small town. You look back now, you're like, we didn't have much, but you felt, as kids, you felt like you had everything you wanted.
The parents that sort of try and make it as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, totally. And they just never complained and worked hard. So that was I think that was just instilled in me. And we all had, my sisters and I, we had jobs when we were 14 and 9 months at Woolies. And I remember working a lot of shifts at Woolies. I'd always close after school Tuesday, Thursday, and then Sunday I'd just do the mid shift.
That's a lot.
So I just had that in me, I guess. And I just think in anything, if you want to give it a proper crack, you got to just leave no stone unturned.
And resisting that feeling of entitlement. There's a lot of comedians and a lot of people in the arts in general. I guess people just in general, not even in the arts, is this feeling of, why hasn't my ship come in, or why haven't people heard about me? And probably fortunate too to start before social media was a humongous thing, because I think sometimes now we fall into the trap of putting something online and going, well, why hasn't this hit big?
Yeah, it's a really tricky industry for that, because it's so individual, and especially in Australia, it's a smaller scene, and everybody's gunning for similar things. And I think the scene, like, everybody's really lovely to generally and supportive, but it's very cutthroat. And I've got much better as the years have gone on, but I used to see someone who I thought I was funnier than, and why are they?
Yeah.
Why are they getting this on telly, or why is their clip blowing up? And I think that's one good thing about the longer you're in it, you just get used to it, and you just got to run your own race. And if you're working hard and doing everything you can possibly do, then things will just happen, I think, over time. And then you get better at accepting. Like, I'm really happy for everyone now. I don't care if anybody gets things before me anymore. I just don't, and that's probably been for 5 or 6 years I felt like that. I just think you just have to just almost have tunnel vision in what you're doing.
Because you could fall into that trap of the goss in green rooms or the group chats of going, oh, did you hear that this person got this thing? And you go, okay, cool.
Goss is great. Goss is great for the scene because it keeps everybody up and about. But you can't be lying awake at night.
And so rarely is it someone who you, especially you think about the acting world. Would you be going for that same role as well? Is it another Dan Connell? They're looking for a Dan Connell type, but they didn't get you. And it's like, I could have done that. That's exactly my thing.
Yeah.
That's an excellent spirit to have. I've had to, because it will eat you up. It will destroy you. And we've been in it for a similar time. So we've seen all the people that have called it a day. And some of those people that called it a day did it for, quite healthy reasons. Most of the time when people get out of the pursuit of comedy, it is quite a healthy choice to go, this isn't for me, I'm going to do this. But some people did seem to let it eat them up, that they weren't getting what they thought that they deserved. And you can either be pulled down with them or you can continue on and go, all right, we'll catch up for a coffee when I'm next in town. I'll see you later.
And often I've met, over the years, you meet a lot of people who do have great success and they're still not happy. It doesn't matter, and seeing that, I really make sure, like, I work hard in my job and I really love it and I enjoy what I do, but the happiness in my own life and personal life is much more important to me than that. I just think if you're just content in what you've got and surround yourself with friends and family and stuff that you like, then the job side of things is so much more enjoyable. And
so where do you make sure you get your happiness from? This is maybe even adjacent to people making sure they have hobbies and things outside of comedy.
I didn't really, once I started comedy, I was all in. I was, I didn't have a partner. I just was out most nights of the week. And then I met my wife, Laura, in maybe 2013.
And she was doing comedy too.
She was, she was in a sketch duo and then she did a bit of stand-up on her own. And I just found I was just much more happy in life in general, and any bitterness I had just sort of went away. And I'm not saying you need a partner to do it, but it was just nice to have that. And then we had a son, and that just gives you a whole new perspective on everything, really.
Yeah, you can't be going, oh, I didn't do well at that over mic night when your son's crying or something. Going, all right, priorities.
Yeah.
You think you're upset. My new bit about dogs didn't go well.
You just become second fiddle. And I've always made sure I've kept just relationships with friends from my childhood and outside of comedy. So you've got that. And
they also might come to shows as well, which is a nice little bonus.
Yeah. But I'm in group chats with old schoolmates, and we're all going to the cricket in Adelaide this year, and just trying to make things like that. When I'm not, because you're so in it, when you're doing festivals and things. And when it's done, you can just get out and get away and catch up with. I've got a couple of mates
and
here in Melbourne.
Talk about other things.
Yes, exactly. I've got a couple of mates here in Melbourne that I catch up with and play golf and just out. And they'll ask me how it's been going, and I'll just give them a quick spiel, and then we're off talking about other stuff, And I think that just helps my mind. You
can see the sort of hourglass in their eyes of how much patience they have for talking about this stuff. And you go, okay, I've got a 60-second window to say Melbourne was good, Perth was bad, love Sydney. how are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the same thing when I ask my mates about their jobs outside of comedy. Is I often can't. I'm sorry, any mates listening, you're probably not, because it's all very inside, but. I often retain very little, and I'm asking them very often, what is it that you do at your job? And they'll try and explain it. I'll go, okay. Yes. I think I vaguely understand, but I'm not heavily invested. Yeah. I sometimes feel as well that our mates get to come and support us at our gigs. They come along to our shows, which is delightful. And then sometimes I feel like I'm asking a lot of them, or if I'm in town and I'm going, well, I'm in town and I'm here because I'm doing my show. This is a neat catch-up opportunity. And some friends will go, oh, yeah, great. Love to support you, love to see your show. And I can see that's a neat way to also hang out. Yeah. Some mates, I get the vibe over the years that they don't like that's the only time that they hear from me, which I will say to those friends, well, you could also reach out to me as well. I'm the only one reaching out. So if you want to see me, this is a neat time. But I do wish I could go and support them at their jobs just to keep it even, just to rock up at the office and go, hey, good on you, man. good photocopies. But you're not allowed to.
No, you wouldn't. No. I've got a lot of friends that are teachers, so I don't know if I could just walk into the school.
Just do that old school thing of, you'd be in class and you just see another teacher or a parent, like their face just appears at the little window in the door. That was always an exciting moment. And you go, sir, we got to visit out, sir. Tell me about being independent, because have you ever dabbled in being managed, or have you always been looking after yourself?
So I've been managed now for a couple of years. So I was independent the whole time from start to about 2 or 3 years ago.
And were you okay with that, or was there a feeling once again of, that person has something that I don't, of, if I was managed, things would be different?
Yes. Yeah, I think there was some things I got being independent because you could contact me directly and I could let you know straight away. And a lot of people used to tell me, "Oh, it's so easy because you're the one point of contact. We have to wait. I can check my diary straight away." But definitely opportunities, TV things. I just found sending the email myself just wasn't as effective.
Did you ever think about making up a nom de plume, having someone else represent you?
So I got a mate for a couple of years. He helped me. He still does stuff with me now, James Paddo. He's awesome. He's got a little production company, and he was sort of forwarding, but it still was coming from someone that they didn't know, I guess. And I had a bit of luck. I had some people from Channel 10 come to a show maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I just assumed things might happen from that. And they told me they loved the show, and I went and had a coffee, but I didn't follow it up. I just left it.
The follow-up seems to be really important.
So after that, I was like, have I missed a beat there? And I started getting too busy. I just found admin-y stuff was really starting to take its toll. And I had a really good relationship with A-List, the guys at A-List, for a few years, and we had a chat, and they were really keen. So since... must be like 2.5, 3 years now.
So what have you noticed as a difference between unmanaged and managed?
You certainly, in the first year, you don't make as much money because you're losing, I was doing the similar thing in the 12 months after I joined them.
And from what you have built as well.
Yeah, exactly.
This is already how the season would have gone.
Yeah. So, but in saying that, on the flip side, the contact with the TV, they bridged that gap, and now I've had a few spots on it. Have you been paying attention? Which is great, and them having Kitty on there already, who they manage, and that really helps. That relationship. Corporate work, they get me a lot more corporate than I could before because they are, they get a lot of contacts, people coming asking them for they've got a lot of big names.
How do you feel about the corporate side of things?
I love it. Yeah. I'll do anything.
Because I feel like you'd be perfect for that, like your style of comedy. I was listening to a podcast recently where Luke Heggie was talking about how he is not corporate friendly, but he does do them.
Yeah, he had to host one not too long ago, and I wanted to go and just stand at the back and watch how it all unfold. This is a man who never hosts for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not you got to be a headliner. Yeah. And I love that too, of going, I'm going to be the headliner. Because if you become a good MC like I have, people go, that's what you are. Like, no, but I've actually I could do other things.
Yeah.
No. Too bad.
Going back to what we said before about getting bitter, Luke Heggie and I have an agreement. If we get bitter, we have both given each other permission to put the other person down. If you start getting bitter, you're allowed to shoot the other person, put them out of their misery. If we ever get to that stage,
when you said put the other person out, they just meant like put shit on them. You're like, no, I will kill you. Yeah, right. That's a good deal to have, a good pact to have. Just to have that sort of in Bruges sort of feeling of a gun at the back of your head saying, it's time, you know why I'm here type energy. I've been expecting you to have, it'd almost be too cool a moment to have Luke Heggie or Dan Connell rock up your door, gun in hand going, it's time. You're like, I knew this moment would come. You saw my Facebook post, did you? Where I said, here's the problem with the industry.
Yeah.
I got to admire the time. You got here real fast.
So the since then it's been great. Yeah. So
what I've observed, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is it seems to be a good manager is someone that makes their what am I trying to say? They make it worth it in terms of they should be bringing in enough work for you that you shouldn't even be noticing the 15 or whatever percent that's coming out. It's like, oh, great. Well, this makes sense.
Yes, yeah, and they knew that it would probably take a couple of years, and they were right. Exactly what everything they said is come to fruition, and just things like you'll get now if I get an email to my personal thing or something, and you can just pass it on, and they're so I have full confidence that they're going to be lovely to that person. I've had friends or over the years where maybe a manager has been they've found out later that a manager's been quite abrupt and rude or asked for too much,
and a job's fallen through.
Yeah, and that was a lot of the time. That was why I didn't want to have anyone. But Kaz, who looks after me at A-List, and Artie, the boss, they're just great. They're just lovely to deal with. So I know they're speaking for me and they're being respectful of the person, and it's how they're treating it how I would treat it.
It's a nice thing to have because I do get nervous. I have anxiety and ADHD, and I'll get in my head too often with maybes, what's, and whoever's, and every now and then I might send that email to be that first point of contact with the management company and say, oh, maybe we should catch up. And then and literally 15, when did I start? So maybe it's 14-ish years that I've been doing comedy, and maybe 10 that I've been doing it, really hardcore is hardcore, what a word, is not getting a reply and going, well, the end, and going, well, Marcel, you could send another email to another thing, and not feeling as if it has to be a perfect thing or know that it's a for sure thing. But because it is scary to put yourself out there and say, I would like some help, please.
Yeah. And I always say you got to, you just got to stay in it. You've got to stay in the game and in the fight, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Like I've seen people 15, 20 years in get this gig, on telly or something, and you're like hosting something, and you're like, well, that's it, because 5 years ago you were thinking about quitting and bitter and everything, but I'm not saying you're bitter, but
shoot me, put the gun away, Dan.
But yeah, I just think you just got to stay in the.
And you got to love it. You got to love it. You got to love the journey.
If you're loving it and you're working and time goes on, you just naturally get better as the years go on.
And your reputation is growing over time as well.
Yeah.
The amount of stuff that people say behind literally your back, and comedians like you who are, who works hard, like, who's a great example, like, who's always crushing it, Dan Connell. And like you'd probably missing out on so many compliments. And that's the thing too, is there are so many people, and having a podcast is a good example, or putting specials on the internet, is knowing and having the faith and having the imagination to recognize that there's a whole invisible silent audience of people that are rooting for you. But when you're by yourself thinking about, why is that person on this? You're forgetting that whole people that are cheering you on. And if you were to then go, you know what, I'm getting out of here, no one's cheering for me, all of those people are going, what do you we've been cheering you the whole time, you just can't hear us. So I think we all need to have that imagination, and this is why people have things like gratitude journals. I had Auntie Janty on recently and talking about how she journals every day with a gratitude journal, and that's how you stay resolute and stay on top of things. Now, speaking of that invisible audience and putting specials out onto the internet, tell me about how you approach and what you think the value of putting specials out is, because I'm tricking you into research right now. I'm tricking you into finding out how to approach this, because I'm overdue, I feel, to have examples, a good chunk of examples.
Have you got any out?
No.
Wow, yeah, right.
Which it just often it's just been the fear of the expense, and also the fear of, similar to approaching management, if I do it, it's got to be the perfect time. If I do my special, it's got to be the perfect time. I had Peter Jones on the podcast, similar sort of thing. He's been doing comedy for a long time, for 10 plus years, and feeling as if, the special ought to be special, or some ghost of Christmas future visits you and says, it's time now. And you go, oh, great, thanks.
Yeah, 5-6 years ago, before I did my first one, I definitely would have had that same thing. I was very protective of my material. And if I put anything online, it wouldn't be my sort of top 10 gags. And there's still a few that I'm quite precious of that I like to use in corporate that aren't up there.
And you,
we'll
and you
we'll
don't want people to have felt like you've burnt that material.
No, just a little bit. There's just 3 or 4 that I don't know if I'll ever put up there. I just like them to be. And in saying that, it just doesn't matter. The longer I've done, and I've got gags up there with, say you've got one went really well on TikTok or whatever, say it's 500,000 views, and you're like, oh God, can I do that? Of course you can. Like, the amount of people that haven't seen it.
And the 3 people in that room that might have vaguely remembered it. And they're still going to be chuffed to go.
Yeah.
And then one person who goes, I think you stole that joke from someone on TikTok. You're like, that was me.
Exactly. The only time I make my, if you're following me, if you come to a festival show each year, it'll be different. It'll be a new hour. That's all I've made sure of.
Everything new.
Everything new.
Yeah.
So if you came last year and you came this year, it's a completely different show. So to try and get that, because festivals is where people return. So if you want to get it building, I think once you start doing repeat, I think you get away with it maybe 2 or 3 times, but once it gets multiple times, I think your numbers drop off a bit.
Yeah, it gets a bit
So I try and do new every time. So I try and tell people, if you're going to come see me at a festival once a year or when I'm touring that show, because it's a completely different.
And in terms of your income streams, is that where most of your income is coming from? Festivals?
Chunks of festivals, and then your corporates and your cruises and clubs, not so much. Obviously, you know how the club scene works, but
you can't get by with $150 here and there.
No.
That's so weird.
Yeah,
to have a family and be like, I'm the breadwinner.
Yeah, here I go. $175 tonight. So it's just a mixture of everything. But with the special, I had wanted to do one pre-COVID, but then obviously COVID happened, and I think I must have filmed it in late 2021. The first, so I filmed two different shows in one night to the same crowd.
Oh wow!
And I got some friends from Canberra who are
the sort of James Acaster approach.
Is that what he does?
He did his Netflix ones. I think he did 3, and I think, there's some comedy note that's going to come for me, I dare you. But I believe they were, filmed back to back.
Oh, that's awesome. 3 in a night. Yeah, I found remembering 2 different ones was a challenge. So 3 is very impressive. He is a genius though. And it was 15 grand outlay, and that's why I wanted to do 2. So it was 15 grand to film 2. And I thought, if I'm going to, I'll just film my last 2 shows. So I did Gutless Wonder in the year before.
Because you could have done what you did in Newcastle of filming the same one twice. So you had your pick from material, but you had the guts to go, no, I'm going to do 2 different ones.
And I knew them both really well. And I just got the same crowd. I fed them in the break. We had nachos and stuff at the
one bowl. I'm not made of money.
At the Newer Mechanics Institute. It was $20 a ticket, and that included dinner. And
That's
it was just purely to get them up there because it's about an hour out of Melbourne. And 90, it sold out really quick, and the people were just lovely. And I asked them to switch seats for the second show. I changed shirt and had a shave.
Backstage. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then released them 6 months apart, as if and sort of said, once I did the second one, I've gone back again. And but any eagle eye will see very similar people when you see this smiling crowd.
15 grand. That's shooting and editing, everything.
Yeah, all inclusive. Actually, I got another mate, Tim Duck from Canberra, who's he's actually the director of the Canberra Comedy Festival, but he's also his bread and butter is sound, and he came and did all the sound for it. So I was, being my first 2, I was really keen to put them out there. And then as time's gone on since then, this, the TikTok and the algorithm and the Instagram and Facebook.
Sound older right now.
I know.
The TikTok and the algorithm.
These kids, you got to keep up with them, So I just film, I probably regret not filming shows like back to that gambling show or the show I had Birdo in.
To have an archive. I'd love to have an archive.
Yeah, I regret just not getting even just one camera, just having it.
Or the old school thing of having an album, having the audio.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's a few comedians, especially Americans in UK, that have their albums on Spotify, which I've enjoyed listening to.
Yeah. I really admire people who wait. I get it. I totally get it. Who wait and want it just to be perfect. And there's nothing wrong with thinking that. But I'm just in this thing now where I just need the content for social media. So
this is a thing that Kirsty Wiebeck really highlighted in a Q&A that we had with her, which if you sign up to the Patreon, you can get access to. I'm never that guy,
How much
but
is
every
the
now and then
Patreon?
you got to try that. It's $5 a month.
Is that all?
Gets you access
What a
to all
bargain.
the back episodes, the paywalled episodes. This is out in the free feed, so no slurs, please. I know you attempted. I know you're gearing up, but is to, especially because Kirsty's independent, what can I be doing to show my value? What can I be putting on the internet, putting on my website, so someone who's curious about you and going, do I want to book you for a corporate or whatever, can then go onto your website and see some very slick footage, really great examples of your stand-up. There's an investment quality into that. So, because this is the fear, someone saying, all right, it will cost you $15,000, or filming it at stupid old studios is somewhere in the realm of 8,000, and you can be creative with how you might.
Newcastle was 5. So so there's, and it's Brady did a great job.
He did a great job. And I love too with the Newcastle one was a feeling of, and coming back to what you were saying before, of not being as precious about putting stuff out there. Of here is a night with Dan Connell. Here is me doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And it not being, oh, this better be the one that this is not. This is going to be the one that makes me. I'm going to win all the internet comedy awards for this. It's here is a great example of me doing comedy, and will give you a sense that if you enjoyed this, you'll buy a ticket for a future show. You now know what you're coming to see, which is excellent. And a great example of something that people can share around. So let's talk about the word investment, because this is how I want anything to be thought about when we think about how much money we put into things. What's the return on investment for putting a special out? Yeah,
look, I'd saved that 15 grand, and I did it that year because I was spending about 15 to go to Edinburgh. 2018, 19, was going to go back 20, didn't happen. 21 was when I shot that special. So I had money saved to go to Edinburgh. So that money was basically my Edinburgh spend to spend on that thing. I honestly put it out there thinking I'm not going to get anything physically back unless Channel 7 wanted to show it on 7, mate. You might get 20 grand here. Realistically, I didn't think I could get a streaming service to take it. I just feel like I'm not into that realm yet where, so honestly, just YouTube and the little bits of money you get back from YouTube.
But then you also see, have you had people come to your shows as a result of seeing it?
Yeah. So that's where you get it the year later when you've clipped up all your clips. You put them on TikTok, everything's growing, and then those people come and pay. So
how good are you at analyzing that sort of data to be able to track that sort of thing?
Yeah, not great. A-List is fantastic at it. They know all that back end stuff, which has been really nice relief.
Because that's the thing. So many of us are feeling around in the dark in terms of how we promote ourselves and where are we investing our money. I have comedians go, I put $1,000 on Facebook ads and didn't see a return on it.
Yes.
You go, well, maybe that was the worst place to spend it.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky, but I think it's all you got to find out for yourself, figure it all out, and try and do those ads. And so what I do now, I think I'll just stay in this routine for a while. Is I filmed last year's show, Little Aussie Battler, which I toured all through 2024. I filmed it at the end of the year, cost me $5,000. I released it in June. I waited to release for a little while because I got through all the festivals. I released it June. Now it's cut up, ready to put out. So I'll put it out now weekly. I've got about 15 or 16 videos I'll do up until Christmas.
And it's part of that, your relationship with your editor. Are they doing the clips as well, or are you doing that?
So I get that Tim Duck in Canberra. He does all my clips for me and
That's
cuts
nice.
it all up.
That makes a
so
huge
he
difference.
charges like $40-$50 a video and just does a big bunch. And they've come out great. But while I'm doing that and putting all this, so that's all last year's show. So the show I'm currently touring, Box Out of Man Baby, won't be online anywhere. You won't see any clips of that until probably late next year. So I'm always making sure if you're coming to see me and you're paying, you're not.
Last show promotes the next one.
Yeah, you're not seeing any material in this current show.
And there'd probably be a very limited amount of people that are thinking, oh, I'll just wait until it comes out. This is the people going, I'm going to wait until the Avengers comes out on 7 May and I'll watch it then.
Yeah, a few people asked me when I released it in June. No, No, it was more recently. It's like 3 weeks ago, August.
Mm.
When is this the show you're doing in Wollongong in 2 weeks? And so I have to put in, no, this is last year's show.
Mm-hmm.
The new one is a completely new hour.
Mm-hmm.
So then this year's show, Box Out of Man Baby, I'm going to film it in October, and I think I'm going to outlay about $5,000 again, and then I'll release that.
And where will you be filming that?
At the Comics Lounge, I'm going to film that.
400 people.
Yeah, if I can get 300, I'll be happy. Yeah,
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That might cover costs.
yeah.
I want to round this out because I was very intrigued about crowd work, and you have crowd work in your special, which I feel like some people would feel is somewhat dangerous. Number one, I might be cutting between both of these things, or I can cut this part out, but I'm going to try and interact with an audience while I'm spending $5,000 to be here. Is this a risk I want to take? What's your relationship with crowd work, and how much value do you see and how much it adds to the experience?
Yeah, I came back from Edinburgh 2019, and I never did crowd work before. I used to just get up and just straight into it. Never ever tried it. And I came back from Edinburgh, I was like, I need to get better at that, because over there you'd come out some nights and there'd be 7 Scottish people and you'd have the best show because they're understanding it. But you come out the next night and there's 4 Spanish, a few Argentinians, some Italians. And if you just, I don't know, I just found if I just got straight in my material, they're trying to understand, where if you establish a bit of, rapport and where you're from, okay, you're from there. Oh, who else is, I know it's like been done, but I tell you what, for a show, it just creates such a better atmosphere.
We're hanging out now.
Yes.
I found that very quickly too. Small audiences of, what if I learn everyone's names? And, I've got 7 people here. I can learn their names. We can hang out.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted, and hosting, obviously, as you know, you get paid a bit more to host, and I wanted to host a bit more when I came back. So I really forced that in, and I just got to a point where I just love it now. I just always, I don't really think about when it's going to be, but generally it's pretty early in a show.
But once again, here's that word precious again. You're not being precious about, I'm filming this, so I better just stay to the material.
Yeah. And if they're paid to come and see you shoot a special, they generally like you. So, you can be pretty loosey-goosey with it. And
tell me, because one of the biggest laughs in the special comes from you calling out somebody that didn't answer your question about boats early on. It's one of the biggest laughs.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that annoy you to any degree of going, my biggest laugh was from
no. I tell you what, it is. You would have had it before, where you're talking to people, or and you find some little gem in the crowd that you're chatting to, and they've got great things to say, and you're kind of riffing and having a great time. Crowd's loving it, and then you go back to your gear. And
it's such a gear shift.
Yeah, you're like, I've worked so hard on this material,
and it's going to be so obvious. Yeah. Well, I said this on the Canberra stage the other night, because I just saw a tall guy in the audience. How tall are you? And it led to me then finding out other tall people, and then it was 3 tall guys. I got them on stage together, and we all went back to back, and that was in the middle of my 40-ish minutes.
Yeah,
I can't top that. That was because it's so hard to compete with something so live and in the moment and silly and playful.
Yeah. And I get much more of a rush personally when people laugh at something you've really worked on and put it all together, and you've done it 100 times, and now it's just so formed and you love it. But
you wouldn't do the Will Anderson thing of going, I'm going to do a whole show that's just chats.
No, that's that's different altogether, isn't it? Like that's so impressive. I couldn't. I would run out of steam. I always need something to fall back on. I would find that so, I think I'd churn through everything I could in the room in 15 minutes and just be like, oh, well, thanks for coming.
Come back to the first guy. What was your name again?
Yeah, exactly.
I've already talked. All right. That's fine.
So I didn't mind that was the biggest laugh in that one. And I've seen lately a lot of people are, because like crowd work is everywhere online now, and everybody's, write a joke. But I just do whatever you think works, just let people do what they think's funny, and crowds are loving it. Like, just who cares?
It's one of the rare things of going, this is live, this is happening.
Yeah, and I'm not asking any groundbreaking questions. I'm doing things that have been done before with my questioning. But I love how it what it creates in the room on the at the time. And there's times where I don't do any at all in club spots and stuff. You just get up and do your best 25. But I think just do whatever you think works and makes you happy. And
no, it's a great note to close out on. Tell people where they can find the latest special and find you on the internet.
Yeah, so the latest one is Little Aussie Battler. It's on YouTube. My page is Daniel Connell Comedy. That's pretty much if you put that into anything. Twitter, not Twitter. I'm not on Twitter anymore. Don't go to Twitter. I shut that down. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Daniel Connell Comedy. All those. And I'm just about to put. If you don't want to watch the special, just get on the socials, and I'm about to put all the videos
If you
up.
don't want to watch the special, why did you listen this deep into it? What are you doing? You're invested now. You should go check it out. Find out what that big laugh about boats was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think, and then the second biggest one is another guy who doesn't hear me properly about break-ins. So just watch those bits, not the material.
This has been great. I feel like we've barely scratched what we could have got into, but this is what 15 years in comedy looks like as well. So we'll just have to. We didn't get into any new jokes, so let's do that in the future. I got nothing.